happening, Bengals fans? How about that? Your Bengals are winners 27-10 over the New Orleans Saints at a very quiet Superdome. How does that sound? Who saw that coming? Andy Dalton was spectacular today. The defense was lights out. Just an overall amazing performance for this team when you consider where they were just 10 days ago against the Cleveland Browns. What a bounce-back performance by our defense, by our quarterback, by our offense, by everybody involved. And it's a good day to be a Bengals fan. Glad you could join me here at Cincy Jungle. I'm Nick Superling. If you want to get in touch, Bengals fans, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. If you're outside the country as well, get in touch with us via Skype. If you don't get through right away, continue to keep calling. I'll be sure to take as many calls as we get this Sunday. Let's start off the show with Kurt down in Asheville, North Carolina. Kurt, what's up, man?
How's it going, Nick?
It had to have been a very long week for you considering your family are a bunch of Browns fans. But today, they bounced back and they look great.
So I'll paint a really quick picture. I was over at my in-laws' house, and I had to brutally watch that game with nothing but family, being the only Bengals fan there. And in the last 10 days, I haven't been to NFL.com. I haven't been to Bengals.com. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to either of your podcasts. I was just devastated. And I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to give these Bengals 10 days. I'm not going to watch anything or listen to anything in the media and just watch the game on Sunday, and hopefully they'll take all the steps to turn it around. And they did it.
Yeah, they did it in spectacular fashion today. Andy Dalton looked good. A.J. Green, even more impressive, 100 yards, and he looked good as well.
I mean, it was great to see all facets. I mean, you saw the Saints, go down the field and get a field goal on the first drive, and the defense looked like it was going to just have one of those same days, and they came back and they stepped it up. Like, this was the top 5 defense that we saw from last year, and that was great to see. Andy Dalton, whatever happened, 10 days ago, completely shook it off. A.J. Green looks like he's doing better. Jeremy Hill had another great 150-yard day. I mean, I'm not, we can't forget what happened 10 days ago, but at the same time, you're like, if this team continues to play the way that it did today, I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't go deep in the playoffs. And I'm glad to see that they still have a winning record and they still have a chance in this thing.
6-3-1 sounds good, doesn't it, Kurt?
Hey, it's better than, the NFC South?
True.
All the things they were showing, the AFC North is the most competitive, and the NFC South is the least. So they definitely held their own today, and it was it's a great feeling to have on a Sunday. Hopefully, they can continue it on the next 2 road games, and we'll go from there. So, Houday, Nick, I'll let other people get on the line. Have a good one, and I'll definitely be with you guys on Wednesday night.
All right, we'll talk to you then, Kurt. Appreciate the call.
Have a good one.
You too. Houday. That's Kurt getting us off with a bang here on Inside the Jungle postgame. If you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. We talk about all facets of the game today, folks. Andy Dalton, 16 of 22 for 220 yards. He did have 3 touchdowns. No turnovers, no interceptions. Fantastic for him. Jeremy Hill, 27 carries, 152 yards. That's getting it done, folks. And A.J. Green today, 6 catches, 127 yards. He had a touchdown. So there you have it. The three-headed monster, Dalton, Hill, Green, doing things for this Bengals offense. More importantly, though, they made the Saints offense look rather pedestrian. Drew Brees didn't beat them deep. In fact, their only touchdown came on the first play of the fourth quarter when the game was, I don't want to say it was out of reach, but the defense had basically dominated the Saints offense, and I think the tone was set early on the 4th and goal when they were able to stand and not allow the Saints to score a touchdown. The Bengals then went down, and they had a 94-yard drive, which unfortunately ended in a field goal, but they at least got points on that drive immediately following that goal line stand. And let's not forget the long run at the end of the first half was kind of a backbreaker for the Saints. Hill with a 62-yard run. Luckily, it was tackled with 1 second left, which allowed Mike Nugent to kick a field goal as the Bengals went into the half with a 13-3 lead. It was all Bengals today, which was refreshing after what happened just a few short days ago against the Cleveland Browns, who, by the way, are losing, if they haven't lost already, to the Houston Texans, which means your Bengals, as of right now, are in first place in the AFC North. Area code 859. Hi, who's this?
Hey, Nick, John from Kentucky.
Hey, what's up, John?
Hey, well, I was able to listen to the game. I worked every day, as you know. Anyway, listen to it. And, wow, we did really good today. Probably the best game we've played since September.
Yeah.
And the NFL is just totally unpredictable this season, Nick. I would not bet on anybody. Earlier, it looked like Denver was struggling with St. Louis. I don't know what the final score of that game was, but Cleveland, I think, has lost to Houston. I didn't think that would happen.
St. Louis is beating Denver 22-7 right now, as of my last update.
Okay, if you're betting on any team in the NFL, it's just gambling. It's just pure gambling this season. So, it is. Congratulations to Cincinnati. They did play a lot better with Ray Maluga back. They ran the football. Burkhead did well. The whole team played well. But I still won't be convinced, and neither will any of us until, this happens in prime time or in the playoffs. But nevertheless, I'm not going to sit here and be negative on a day like this. There's no sense in it. The team did very well. Was glad to see that happen or hear that happened. And look forward to the next game. It'll be against Houston. Gosh, I hate that team. They beat us, humiliated. Well, they didn't humiliate us, but they beat us pretty soundly in the playoffs, even though the score wasn't indicative of it both times. So I would really like to see us go to Houston and win, but I'm not betting a cent on it on either team, I'll tell you.
Well, I got to ask you this, John, because he had a pretty good day today. His only 2 catches were touchdown catches, and that's Jermaine Gresham, your best friend.
Oh, yeah, I just love Gresham. Well, he made me really nervous on the first one because he fumbled the ball, but evidently he got it back. So that's Gresham for you. I mean, he's indicative of the NFL. The entire NFL's like Jermaine Gresham right now. One week the team's good, the next week they're not. So, but, he's what we have at the moment, and Eifert evidently is not coming back. So, you have to use who you have to use. They either play well or they don't.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of indicative of the season. But we went, let's see, Cleveland lost to Houston today. That is correct, right?
They are losing. I don't know if it's a final. They just intercepted Hoyer, according to Bobby in our chat room. So it looks like that game, though not officially over, is over. Okay.
So this puts Cincinnati back in first place in the division. They have sole possession right now, I think.
Yes, they do.
That's irregardless if Pittsburgh or Baltimore win today.
I don't know how that works. I think you might be right, though. I think you're right because they both have 4 losses and we only have 3. So I think you're right.
That's right. Okay. Well, hey, the team. I'll get off here and let some other people speak. But the team did good today, and I tweeted earlier on Twitter, "Who dey?" I haven't done that in a while, and so we're looking good at least for now. Let's see if we can do this again next week. But with Ray I never thought I'd say this. With Ray Maluga back, looks like the team's a little bit better. At least the defense is. They seem more motivated, and Domatov Peko was playing with some testosterone and making some tackles, and Lapham was saying on the radio, Peko seems possibly motivated by his friend Ray Maluga back on the field now. So, those guys kind of look alike. Maybe they're brothers. We don't know about. So I'm just saying, maybe with Maluga back, the defense is better. They certainly played like it today.
Yeah, they did. Appreciate the call, John.
All right, take care.
Who dey?
John
from Kentucky here on the Jungle Line. Yes, Ray Maluga's presence today was felt. I thought by far that was probably the best game Ray Maluga has played as a Cincinnati Bengal today. Just looking at some of these numbers, too. Mark Ingram, the Saints running back, 23 carries for 67 yards. That's a 2.9 average. That's pretty good. That's getting it done. Domatov Peko played his best game of the season. He was able to get into the backfield. He was causing some havoc. He had an unfortunate kind of a stupid personal foul play, which I thought was a little stupid flag. But again, he was causing havoc there in the backfield. I thought the defense today overall was fantastic. Vinny Ray, your leading tackler on the day, 12 tackles. Lemur with 10, Peko with 8. Maluga, though, the numbers don't really show it. He had 3 tackles, but I still thought he was by far a pretty good impact today for the linebacking core for the Bengals. Just the defense as a whole, they played great. The Saints got a garbage touchdown late in the game. Actually, I first played the fourth quarter. But overall, I thought the defense was the name of the game today. Let's go back to the Jungle Line. Area code 937. Hi, who's this?
Hi, it's James from Dayton, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you tonight?
I'm doing excellent. You know, one of my favorite movies is Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. I say they change the title and remake the movie. If they made today's game into a Star Wars film, it'd be Bengals Wars Episode 5: The Ginger Strikes Back. What do you think?
I like it. I like it. Yeah, Andy Dalton today was awesome.
I know. It was like it looked like he was angry at himself. He was a little bit shamed, as he should have been. And I think he just went out there and just tore it up. I mean, he played, I think there was maybe one play where he got sacked. He might have been able to throw it away. But other than that, I mean, he played a virtually mistake-free football game. And I don't think, I think this was not only one of his best games, but this was by far and above, I think, Jeremy Hill's best game also. So, I mean, it was just a fantastic football game on all sides of the ball. You know, Huber getting it done again, just macking that ball all the way down the other side of the field. I mean, I think he's still tied in first place for, you know, in terms of punting. But, I mean, that was just a phenomenal game. I think one of the Bengals' best games of the entire year.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Andy Dalton today. How about that 3rd and 18 when they were deep in their own zone and the Saints had kind of answered with that touchdown? That 3rd and 18 conversion was huge.
I know. I mean, and, you know, A.J. Green getting the offensive pass interference, and then it's just like, you know what, I'm better than that, goes out and it ends up with being a touchdown drive. You know, it just, they overcome any kind of difference, any kind of mistakes that they have, whether it be penalties or bad plays. It's just, I think they finally got it together. And hopefully, you know, going forward, you know, I love my Bengals, but I know how they can be on again and off again. But, you know, hopefully they'll get it together. They'll take this as an example and take what they did right and continue it. You know, who do we play next? I honestly don't have a schedule in front of me.
We got to go to Houston next week.
Yeah, you know, and Houston's not that great. You know, and honestly, everybody thought we wouldn't win this game, but you know what? We crushed them. I mean, it's not a blowout, but that's just a demoralizing loss for the Saints. So hopefully we'll do it again in Houston. So that's all I had. And Houday, man, let's roll forward, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, they got to roll forward. Thanks for the call. They got to roll forward. Houston today knocked off your first place Cleveland Browns, your formerly first place Cleveland Browns, and we know the stories about the struggles of Andy Dalton and this team in Houston. But again, Houston will be 5-5 going into that game with a quarterback starting only his second game in the NFL. So that tells you what you need to know about that game. Area code 541. How's this?
This is Andy from Oregon.
Andy from Oregon. What's up, man?
Well, I am very happy, obviously, for the win, but I got to say that I'm most happy about the way that the team was able to bounce back off a pathetic showing last time and come out, go into New Orleans with an angry New Orleans team that feels they got robbed last week, and we hold them to 10 points with our defense. It was an all-around good game, the running game, the blocking, passing defensively. I think that this is the team right here that we should be, and this is the team that can win some playoff games.
I think the Saints looked like they were a team coming off a hangover type game. You know, they lost in overtime at home to the 49ers. And I wonder how much that extra time off for the Bengals really helped them as well to kind of prepare for the Saints.
I think it did help, and I think that somebody got to Andy. Even the announcers were talking about how he just looked different at the pregame with the meetings, and he was on a mission. They could see it in his eyes, and I think that, you know, either the coach got to him, the players had a talk, or he just realized that, you know, this team runs through him. He is got to be the star of the show, and he's got to lead the men to battle, and he did a really good job of it today. And I got to give it up to Jeremy Hill. First game coming back home, playing in his hometown, and puts up 150 yards. That was beautiful.
I like me some Jeremy Hill. I want to see them continue to pound the rock with him. 27 carries. You know, anytime you can get your back more than 25 carries, at least in the history of Marvin Lewis, Andy, they seem to do really well. And, he was huge today.
He was breaking off another big 60-yarder and got down with the 1 second left. I don't even think he knew the time that was left. It just so happened that we got really lucky. But, I mean, if you think of the first drive when we kicked off, New Orleans had the ball for like 6 or 7 minutes. They go all the way down the field, and we stuffed them. And I think right there, that gave us the thought that we can handle this team. You know, we can stop Drew Brees, and then we go all the way down the field. Granted, we only got a field goal off of that, but a 96-yard drive, it just, people were in sync, blockers were blocking, and it was just an all-around good showing. And I hope that next week, heading into Houston, that the J.J. Watt isn't haunting Andy's dreams from those playoff games. I think if we can handle him, that we have a good shot at going against the rookie QB.
I hope you're right, Andy. Appreciate the call, bud.
Yeah, hooday.
Hooday. Andy from Oregon here on the Jungle Line. If you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. If you want to get in touch with us outside of the country as well, you can catch us on our Skype account inside the Jungle. If I have to nitpick, and again, I'm completely nitpicking here about what happened today, because I don't want you to get me wrong. I love what they did. I thought they were fantastic in all phases. But Jeremy Hill, you got to hold on to the football, man. I know 2 of your fumbles went out of bounds. Hold on to the football. And then Marshall Newhouse at right tackle. Andre Smith, get healthy, please. Fatal Content joining us here on the program. What's up, Fatal?
Who freaking day, man.
That's right.
That was a great game, man. Several points, man. It was finally a great game plan by the offensive coordinators and the defense, man. It was a great day. Jermaine Gresham showed up, and I've been saying for weeks, man, and it finally came true. We definitely, one of the low-key missing points that we had was Raymond Luga and Brandon Thompson, and they both had amazing games today from what I was watching. Brandon Thompson was in the backfield a few times. We shut down Ingram, who had been having some really good running games, and the offense showed up. I mean, A.J. Green can't say he doesn't show up in big moments. We needed it today. And Andy Dalton was Andy Dalton.
Jermaine Gresham played some soccer today, Fatal.
Yeah, he had a little soccer assist to himself. He always has to surprise us with his numerous skills.
I just wonder, and I didn't get a chance to see the replay because I was more focused on him kicking the ball, but how close was he when he reached the ball out to even crossing the plane in the first place? Maybe he was way off. Either way, though, both of his catches went for touchdowns today, so that's good. We're fortunate that he didn't lose the fumble because I think Twitter would have exploded. But again, I got to give props to Andy Dalton. After looking as bad as he did, however many days, I think it was 10 days ago against the Browns, to come back, 16 of 22, and no picks. He had the 3 touchdowns. He probably should have had a 4th touchdown if A.J. Green would have caught that ball before it hit the ground. Just a great game by our quarterback.
Oh, yeah, awesome game, man. And as far as the Gresham thing, I think he was a few inches away, but we kind of do wish he wasn't so lackadaisical with the ball. But, yeah, Andy Dalton, like you said, that pass to A.J., even the one that he almost caught that was on the shoestring was perfect. It was outside of the defender's hands and outside of his reach, and A.J., it was a hard catch, so I'll give A.J. a pass after the day he had. But you know what? That 3rd and 18 play was just crucial because, I mean, we were up 10. They get that ball back. The momentum is all on their side. The crowd's on their side. And Dalton to complete that and throw just a dime in the breadbasket and for AJ to concentrate and catch that, I think that was the play of the game.
That might be Dalton's best throw as a pro.
I think so. It's definitely right there.
If not, it's a close second to his throw he made in Pittsburgh a couple years ago to set up the game-winning field goal to clinch a playoff berth. There's a very similar type throw where they kind of threw it over the shoulder along the sideline. I don't know if you remember that play or not.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the one I was gonna. I couldn't remember the team. I'm glad you reminded me, but that was the one I remembered. But yeah, it's right there with it, and I'm telling you, man, that was impressive. But I really got to give my game ball to Raymond Luga, man. I don't know why, but I mean, he was huge. I mean, to be missing, Burfict, and for him to have said this week, I don't know if you guys remember, he said this week we were going to correct these running problems. And he comes in, the first week he comes back, he was an absolute monster, man. He blew up that play on 4th down when they went for it. He was a tackling machine. He was never out of position. I thought that was his best game as a pro.
I can't disagree, man. I thought that was Maluga had a huge game. The defense as a whole had a huge game. I think, and it went for a penalty, but that early flag on Georgia Loca on Jimmy Graham also set the tone, and he wasn't himself the rest of the game either.
Oh no, he wasn't. Yeah, Loco definitely was a trendsetter on that one. A tempo setter on that one. He annihilated him on that hit, and it did kind of set the tempo. I thought Jimmy Graham's my boy, but I thought it was kind of funny. Every time he'd catch a ball, he'd get up and be on some Hulk Hogan wrestling stuff. And it's good that we kind of answered back with action instead of just talking right with him.
6-3-1 sounds good, doesn't it, partner?
Oh man, I love it. I never doubted it, man. Like I said, I'll let you go with this, man. I never panicked. I never made an excuse or justified our poor play when we looked like absolute crap. But like I said before, look at the Broncos. Look at the New England Patriots. They've had some stinkers this year. Maybe not as many as us, but they've had some stinkers and bounced back. And when we look good, we look good. We just gotta get things in order and get healthy. And we got a little healthier today. And I never panicked. So you're right, man. 6-3-1. Who dey? Shout out to you, man. Take it easy.
We'll talk to you Wednesday, Fatal. Appreciate the call.
All right, man. Who dey?
That's Fatal content here on our Skype line. If you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397. We'll continue to take your calls live here at CincyJungle.com on the Twitter. This from Shiv. How about them Bengals shutting down the Saints running game today? Fantastic performance by our defense. 26 carries for the Saints. Get this, 75 yards. Just the last time out, the Browns were able to rush for 170 yards against this defense. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and say that Sean Payton likes to run the football by any stretch of the imagination, but when you consider that Mark Ingram was one of the hotter running backs in this league leading up to this game, this defense really stepped up today and were fantastic. Again, if you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. Let's go back to the Jungle line. Area code 703. Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Richard Olson.
Richard, what's up, buddy?
A lot better than that Thursday night.
Amen to that.
I just wanted to say what impressed me about this game was that I was hearing names that I hadn't heard. I heard, the cornerback DeMarcus. Oh, I can't say his name.
Darquez Denard. That's right.
Yeah, and I was hearing guys' names that had just not been stepping up, and people were making plays or making hits, and all through the game, Breeze. He threw a lot of passes, but they were all like these little short things and all that, because they were just giving coverage that they needed, and they were making them have to look, the third and fourth receivers, and so even though they were moving the ball, they had to dink and dunk, and then Bengals bend but don't break all day. It was just great to watch, So
Drew Brees, you're right. He did throw it 41 times today, Richard, but he only had 255 yards passing. So he was right around 6 yards. Right around 6 yards of completion.
Yeah. I mean, he even threw to Brian Leonard. I was wondering what happened to Brian Leonard. Now we know.
Every time he caught the ball, I was expecting him to hurdle somebody.
Yeah. So, but I think you were saying, Ioka really did set the tone, and then Maluga, helped them, close up the running game. And Lapham was saying that he thought that helped Pecco. Pecco was playing with a lot more confidence today than we've seen. But we also, saw the rookie Clark out of West Virginia. He made some plays out there. It was like we hadn't seen that this year. We hadn't seen some of the young guys stepping up, and this time we saw it. And I'm just hoping that they can carry it on to Houston next week, because if we can do that, then we're in the driver's seat. So heading into the final stretch. So. Anyways, I just wanted to say it was a great day to be a Bengals fan, and can't wait till the next week's game.
It's going to be a big one. Appreciate the call, Richard. Houday.
Talk to you later. Bye. Houday.
That's Richard here on the Jungle Line. Get in touch, 404-946-3397. Yep, Bengals head to Houston next week for another tough AFC opponent. The defense for Houston, they are pretty good. That is for sure. I like that Richard brought up the point about the names we haven't heard yet, at least a whole lot this year. Darquez Denard got in there, made some plays. Will Clark, with some plays as well. Had a fumble recovery. I know he had also a tackle for loss there. I thought he had a pretty good game today. Although we do say his name quite a lot, Pecco, for the most part this year, we've just said bad things about his play, constantly being blown up. But today, I thought he had his best game of the season. Was in the backfield disrupting plays, and I thought he played his best game as well. Another name that we don't say a lot, and we haven't said much of the year, Rex Burkhead today, though the numbers don't really show it, at least his rushing numbers. He had 2 rushes for just the 1 yard. He did have a pretty big third down conversion play. On the day, he had 3 catches for 36 yards. He's actually your second leading receiver for the team today. Again, 3 catches for 36 yards for Rex Burkhead. Let's go back to the jungle line. Area code 937. How is this?
Hey, you know who it is, Chris and Dayton.
Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing, buddy?
Who can complain? As a Bengals fan, who can absolutely complain about this performance? You know, we went into New Orleans. New Orleans doesn't lose at home. We really dominated that game from first possession on. You know, you look back at that performance and you have to think, we really only got one piece back on defense. We didn't have Vontaze Burfict again. We actually lost Terrence Newman. Once again, Leon Hall exposed in the secondary. But Ray Maluga coming back and stopping Mark Ingram, who had basically owned the NFL for the last several weeks. We hold him, you know, pretty much in check. I think he had a pretty decent game, you know, as far as the running back goes. But that clock kept running. Everything kept going according to plan. Who could be upset with the performance today? I mean, Andy Dalton, after going out and laying the egg of all eggs against the Cleveland Browns, I couldn't even call in on that post game for fear that I would just start spouting expletives as I was sitting in a bar that night with a bunch of Cleveland fans sitting around me telling me how much my quarterback sucks. He goes out there and he has a 150 quarterback rating. I mean, bipolar as he may be, he's effective. And he went out there, he made throws, clutch throws even. And A.J. Green, my goodness. Gotta be up way, way up the line. I mean, you can talk about the year Antonio Brown is having. That pains me enough being a Bengals fan, and he's doing well on the Steelers side. But who could be upset with this performance right now? Offense, defense, special teams, all knocked it out of the park today. 10 the Saints back deep on punts. You know, kick coverage was great. Defense, I can't talk enough about the 31st ranked defense in the NFL against the run. I didn't even know that until today. They were 31st.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, I agree, man. The defense as a whole, Chris, I thought was fantastic. And the fact that Newman was out and you had to play some of the young guys, I think that's going to bode well for this team and give them confidence moving forward. You know, Dre for his faults gets a lot of flack, but I thought he had a good game today. We still don't know yet what we have in Denard, but you're right. I mean, Drew Brees, if you think about it, they were never challenged downfield. There was never any deep passes where players were getting behind the defense. I thought they kept the plays in front of them, and they didn't get beat deep.
Came up, make the tackles. I mean, that fourth down, that goal line stand right there, I thought, you know what, we can actually do this. When they went in there and they had the goal line stand right there, it was 4th and goal, 2 yards out. You know, this is just a situation Sean Payton loves to be aggressive in. And for the Bengals to step up in that situation, that wasn't even close. I mean, Ray Maluga and the rest of the linebacking core, they were all over that short dump off. So I think he was a fullback or he might have been a second tight end or something. But they were all over that play. That had no chance of being converted to, you know, a touchdown or anything else of that nature. I thought that was a big boost for that defense. Like, we can stand up to one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. I mean, today he crossed 54,000 passing yards. Only 5 quarterbacks have done that. He's one of them. We stood up to him. We stood up to Jimmy Graham and his Pro Bowl caliber level of play. We stood up to Brandon Cooks, who's a great, you know, rookie wide receiver and that explosive offense. We stood up to Mark Ingram. Like I said, who's been doing great things all year long, almost, it seems like, for at least a quarter of the season. You know, we did that against a team who's at home, who does not get beat at home. I mean, they had really what was the best record, I think, after we lost. You know, it was basically the Bengals, the Saints, the Seahawks. They had the best home field advantage. I mean, you could throw the Patriots in there against AFC opponents, but they had the best home record. I mean, and we went there and we trampled them. I mean, okay, I got to get off this line because I know there are a lot of people wanting to call in. But one thing I'm going to say, that play at the end of the first half is why I will never take a knee going in at halftime when I'm an underdog. That play should have been a 5-yard, run by Jeremy Hill. Boom! He pops a 60-yarder, and we get an extra 3 points out of the deal that we weren't even freaking counting on. Never take a knee because you never know what can happen. One broken tackle. I mean, that was one broken tackle, and he took it 60 yards.
That's right.
I mean, which he played great. I mean, I don't know if it was because he was playing in Louisiana or what the deal was, or I'm not sure. Still, I take Carlos Hyde over him, but that's another discussion for another time. But great all-around performance, and this is just one of those good days to be a Bengals fan.
It's a good day, Chris. Appreciate the call, bud. We'll talk to you next week, all right?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, day. Chris from Dayton, bringing it every Sunday. Love hearing from him. 404-946-3397 is the number to call if you want to get in touch. Again, if you're outside the country as well. I know we have a lot of fans over in the UK and Europe and in many other places around the world. Skype us at Inside the Jungle. Looking at the stats today, looking at the standings as of right now, your Bengals first place, 6-3-1, followed by Pittsburgh, who's in second place with 6-4, Cleveland 6-4, and Baltimore will remain 6-4 after they have their bye week. The NFC South, though, folks, wow. Let me tell you, do you remember that team we stomped early in September, the Atlanta Falcons? Well, today, after their win against the Carolina Panthers, which, by the way, that tie looks worse and worse as the weeks go on, your Atlanta Falcons, your first-place team at 4-6. What? Oh, man, what a terrible division. But the NFC, the AFC North, by the way, looking fantastic. Every team above 500 still here in November. That is crazy to think about as well. It's going to be a fun dogfight in the month of December for the AFC playoff race. Again, get in touch. 404-946-3397 is the number to call. I can't get over this fact enough. Andy Dalton today, 16 of 22, 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. A huge 3rd and 18 conversion there in the fourth quarter after the Saints had just scored a touchdown. The Superdome had finally woken up. Just a huge play, and what a dime thrown to A.J. Green today. We didn't see or say his name a whole lot today, Mohamed Sanu. He did have 3 catches for 23 yards. He did have a couple drops. You don't like that. The running game, though, was fantastic. Jeremy Hill, 27 carries for 152 yards. Cedric Pearman, he had a 21-yard rush today, 2 carries for 21 yards, so he averaged all his yards came on that one big run. But, yes, the rushing game today, 36 carries, 186 yards for a 5-yard average. That's getting it done, folks. Area code 443. Hi, who's this?
This is Keenan from Maryland.
Hey, Keenan, what's up, bud?
Not much. Well, that's a good bounce-back win, I would say. But they need to get ready for next week. Houston, I think they're gonna be hard, tougher team than the Saints.
Oh, I agree. I think Houston's a much better. I think Houston is a better team. They have issues at quarterback, but I think I think Mallett is an upgrade over Ryan Fitzpatrick. Don't get me wrong, but you're right. Their defense is still pretty good. They held Cleveland today to just 7 points in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy, J.J. Watt, who always causes trouble. They need to.
Well, that's not just for us, but the NFL. I agree with you. J.J. Watt is a monster.
They need to get Andre Smith back. We put a tight end over with him as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game for Russell Bodine. Everybody there on the front, they're going to have a hard time. And let's be fair too. That Houston, that dome there in Houston, it is loud. It's going to make the Superdome sound quiet.
It hasn't been too favorable for us.
Nope.
You know, but I believe we can get this. We just need to keep running the ball.
Pound the rock. That's a formula for success. I think, if they can pound the rock and not turn the ball over and make some stupid plays, that's going to help their cause. That's the one thing I will notice today is that Andy Dalton didn't have that deer in headlights look. He looked controlled the entire time.
Yeah, and it'll be a 1 o'clock game, so that'll work better for us.
That's right. It was a good win today. Appreciate the call, Keenan.
All right, thanks.
That's Keenan here on the Jungle Line. 404-946-3397. If you want to get in touch, we'll be here as long as we're taking calls, Bengals fans. If you want to get in touch, you can send me your tweets as well, at Nick Strubling. Let's take a look here in the chat room. This team is fantastic. I think everybody agrees that this is probably one of the best performances of the year so far. Dan Beck says Gresham got lucky on that first touchdown. Yes, Dan, I agree he did. He was channeling his inner soccer player today, kicking that ball, though. The announcers, I think they were quick to say that there was in the act of getting up. I don't know about that. But that kick certainly helped. He recovered the fumble in the end zone. I don't know why they gave that a touchdown pass, but they did. We'll take it. But yeah, Jermaine Gresham today, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty good percentage there for your tight end. I think if you have to go negative again, and this is again, I am nitpicking here. I am not. Again, Jeremy Hill, you got to hold on to the football. I'm worried about that. Also, should we talk about that fan in New Orleans, then the front row? Jermaine Gresham scores his second touchdown, and he goes over to hand the football to a Bengals fan in New Orleans, and the New Orleans Saint fan, the grumpy old New Orleans Saints fan, snatches it from her, elbows her in the face in the process, and refuses to give up the football to the Bengals fan. Now, if you're a Saints fan, why do you want the football of the opposing player that just scored on you and just beat your team down? I don't understand that one bit. I love that Twitter kind of made this guy look a little look real classy. I'm sure we'll be seeing it on Sports Nation and all the shows this week. But if you're that New Orleans Saints fan, you must really like Jermaine Gresham. You must be the president of his fan club, kind of like John from Kentucky. That's my thoughts on that. Now, hopefully the Bengals do right and they get her a football, since obviously somebody in New Orleans didn't want her to have it. Get in touch, though, Bengals fans. 404-946-3397. We'll be here as long as we get your calls. As long as we're talking Bengals, and as long as you want to talk Bengals, we'll be here on the air at CincyJungle.com. I know the staff here at Cincy Jungle furiously writing their game recaps. Make sure you check those out as well. Josh Kirkendall, Jason Markham, and the gang all going to be writing up their stories today here at CincyJungle.com, recapping today's game. Take a look around some of the other scores throughout the NFL today. Kansas City knocks off the Seahawks, an old AFC West rematch back in the day when Seattle used to be in the AFC. 24-20, the Chiefs are winners. As I mentioned, Atlanta knocks off Carolina today, 19-17. The Bucs, Tampa Bay, beating down Jay Gruden and the Washington Redskins. 27-7. How about the Rams? 22-7 winners over Denver. Who saw that coming? The 49ers knock off the Giants 16-10. The Bears beat Minnesota 21-13. As I mentioned, Houston knocking off Cleveland today 23-7 there in the dog pound. And we also know what happened on Thursday night between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Miami 22-9 winners over the Bills. Right now, early in the first quarter, San Diego with a 7-0 lead over Oakland. Again, that game just underway out on the West Coast. Again, looking at some of these numbers today, I can't say it enough. Andy Dalton, we had, and I don't want to call it good Andy, bad Andy, but we had great Andy. How about that? We had great Andy today. 16 of 22. He didn't have a whole lot of passing yards. He didn't need to because they ran the ball really well. 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He did have the 1 sack. I thought he was going to break out of that play, but unfortunately he was tackled behind the line of scrimmage for a QB rating of 143.9. That is a lot better than the quarterback rating of 2 that he had last week against the Cleveland Browns. Much better by our quarterback, Andy Dalton, today. Though he didn't, I would say, yeah, he did outplay Drew Brees today. Drew Brees, 33 of 41, 255 yards. He did have the 1 touchdown pass for a quarterback rating of 100. The difference in the game today, folks, it's got to be the running game and probably the play of the defensive line. They held the New Orleans Saints today to just 75 yards rushing. That's fantastic. To the jungle line we go, area code 410. Hi, who's this? Area code 410, you're on the air. Hi, who's this?
Hello. Oh, how you doing? This is Seth from Baltimore.
Hey, Seth from Baltimore. What's on your mind today?
I'm not really sure, you know. I mean, it's like I'm going to be optimistic, and I have every reason to be. But like I've seen a story before where when we doubt the Bengals, they pull it out, but then when you expect them to win, they just flop. So I'm not sure really, you know.
Yeah, I could see that. I can understand that, which probably bodes well going into their game next week at Houston, a place where they have struggled the last couple times.
Yeah, I think it's just the consistency of it. I mean, like you said, we go against at Houston and then at Tampa Bay, and when you look at those games, you think, oh, yeah, we should beat them, and then our next big test might be against Pittsburgh at home. But the thing about this team is that once you think that we have winnable games, they somehow play down to the team's talent level or skill level. I don't know. But I am happy about the win, though. I mean, I didn't expect us to blow them out, but hey, I take it.
I agree with you. I wish that they would play a little more consistent, Seth. I think last week was just a confluence of bad things happening. You had the weather, you had the prime time, you had the Browns who were super pumped up to be playing a primetime game, which is something they don't do very often, and they had been playing well. And look what happened today. The Browns go out after that emotional win 10 days ago against the Bengals. They go and lay an egg at home against the Texans.
Right. I figured that the Browns were going to lose. But, hey, it's good to be back on top of the AFC North as we should be. Who dey?
Who dey? Appreciate the call, Seth. That's Seth from Baltimore ringing in here on the Jungle Line. If you want to get in touch again, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. If you want to get in touch outside the country as well, Skype me at Inside the Jungle. We'll be here as long as we're taking phone calls today. As long as we're calling, getting calls, we'll be here. TC from Dub V in the chat room today. I know he's pretty pumped today. Will Clark got in. He was active, and he played. He had a fumble recovery. He also had a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. His only tackle today was a tackle for loss. I'll call it a tackle for loss, even though he was tackled. He did tackle the guy right at the line of scrimmage. So I'll give him a tackle for loss. So TC, Will Clark, the guy, the defensive end drafted in the 3rd round out of West Virginia. TC obviously is a big West Virginia fan. Your leading tackler on the day, if you're just joining us here at CincyJungle.com, Vinny Ray, 12 tackles. Lemur with 10 and Pecco with 8. I thought the defense, the front 7 played fantastic. They were getting off blocks. They were shedding blocks. They didn't allow Mark Ingram to do a whole lot of damage. Major kudos to Pecco today. He had the game of the season so far. He was a difference there up front, causing havoc in the backfield. They didn't put a whole lot of pressure on Drew Brees, but they were effective. They were definitely effective. Area code 513. Hi, who's this?
It was Mike Hudson Sucks.
Hey, Mike, what's on your mind today?
No, I've been telling all my friends for about 10 days, all my coworkers, confidence is at an all-time low after a loss. Confidence is at an all-time high after a win. I told everybody, if you think the Bengals are going to win only 3 more games for the rest of the year, that would put them at just above 500. You're crazy. I think the Bengals go at minimum 9-6-1, finish the year, hopefully win the division.
Yeah, the division's up for grabs. They're in first place today.
You know it.
I like your confidence. I think they'll win more than 3. That's my bold prediction, though.
Yes. Well, more than at least 3 from here on out. So minimum 9 wins this season.
That Denver game doesn't look so daunting now after they go out and lay an egg against St. Louis too.
That's what I said. Confidence is an all-time low after a loss, man.
Now's the time, though. I like where you're thinking too. Now's the time, November, December, to get hot so that you're hot going into the playoffs. Whereas in years past, we've seen them get hot in October, and they kind of they hit that rough patch there late in the year, and then we all see what happens in the postseason. Maybe we're changing that narrative this year.
Yeah, we have the benefit of some warm weather and indoor games here until we come back to the Midwest in the freezing December.
Got to take advantage of it. They got to win big. Maybe not necessarily win big, but they got to win a big game next week against Houston. That's for sure. Appreciate the call, Mike.
Rock on, brother. Hooday.
Hooday. Mike Hudson sucks. Love calling him that here on the Jungle Line. Get in touch, 404-946-3397. If you call in and you don't get a response, keep trying. Unfortunately, we only have the one phone line here, but hopefully here in the future we'll be able to change that up and hopefully maybe get some more phone lines in the future as we continue to try to upgrade and make this show better for you Bengals fans. I want to be able to hear from all you Bengals fans around the world. It's great. It's great to celebrate a win, a big win, which a lot of people I don't know thought would happen today. I don't think any of the so-called experts thought the Bengals would go in and beat New Orleans after how badly they looked there against Cleveland. But today they were fantastic. 27-10. The only touchdown came late in the game as the first play of the fourth quarter and what I will say garbage time. So really, if you think about it, I mean, the final score 27-3. I'll just say 27-3. Love to hear who your MVP of today's game. If you're watching us live here at CincyJungle.com in the chat room, hashtag MVP. Let me know who you think today's game MVP was. I'll reveal mine here in a couple of minutes. Fatal Content says, hey, Nick, Burkhead showed up as well. I did mention his name earlier, Fatal. I loved how big that play on third down and long. I think it was a 3rd and 11. Dalton was flushed out of the pocket, and he completed a pass on the run to Burkhead to get the conversion. Burkhead, I thought, played pretty well today. Let's go back to the Jungle Line. Area code 614. Hi, who's this?
Hi, and this is Brian.
Hey, Brian, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Columbus.
Hey, Brian from Columbus. What's on your mind today?
First place Bengals.
That's right, buddy.
I mean, after last week, I didn't really know what to expect coming into this game, but I'm glad Andy Dalton definitely stepped up. I mean, you said 16 for 22, 3 touchdowns. That's getting it done.
Dalton was he was awesome today. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of yards. I mean, he had 220 yards, but the most important thing is he looked confident, and he was accurate, and he didn't look phased one bit.
Yeah, he didn't have that deer in the headlights look. I mean, I think it's because the running game was so effective. Like, he didn't really have to do much. I mean, he made a lot of third down conversions that were really good, like especially the one to A.J. Green. That was amazing.
It was amazing. Third down was big today for the Bengals. They were 9 of 13 on third down. And the Saints, to be fair, they weren't that bad either. 8 of 13 on third down is pretty good as well. But the Bengals, when they needed to, they stepped up and they were able to get stops.
We were able to get stops. I also believe that that hit on Jimmy Graham at the beginning of the game, that kind of took him out of the game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Jimmy Graham, if you look at his numbers today, he had 3 catches for 29 yards. It seems like for whatever reason on third down, they played a lot of zone, and Graham was able to find those spots in the zone and get a couple of third down conversions. But he didn't beat them down the field, and they were able to cover him pretty well. I don't remember him getting a whole lot of targets. He only had the 3 targets actually today from Breeze, so he must not have been too open.
Yeah, that's a good thing because that was probably one of the things I was a little scared about coming into this game. But good job by defense. Ray Maluga, his play today, absolutely amazing. The 4th down stop, that pretty much set the whole game up for us.
It was a huge momentum swing, of course, there in the first. I think it was the first quarter. The Bengals were able to, they stop them on the goal line stand was huge. It's been a while since we've seen a goal line stand from this Bengals defense, and
Right.
glad to see it. And they went down. Unfortunately, they went down. They drove 94 yards and had to settle for a field goal, which was disappointing. But again, they put points on the board, and it was a good response by the defense. I thought they were fantastic today, Brian.
Yeah, great game all around. I mean, Huber was Huber again with the punts. I mean, that one punt that kind of hit like the 2-yard line and bounced back up. I was like, oh, I mean, just all around great game by everybody today. Really, really enjoyable to watch. Just got to keep it up, keep the ball rolling. Like you said, it's getting that time of year where you want to get hot. Try to keep the momentum into the playoffs because we're in first place again.
First place, and it sounds good, doesn't it, Brian?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the call.
All right, no problem, man.
Uday, that's Brian from Columbus ringing in here on the program. Again, if you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. The defense was awesome. Special teams was good. Adam Jones had a couple good returns today. Just all around. I mean, it was an all-around great game by this team. Again, if you have to nitpick, and it's, again, this is extreme nitpicking on my part. Jeremy Hill, you got a hold on the football. Fortunately, you didn't lose those 2 fumbles. They went out of bounds, but we saw it a week ago against Cleveland. You fumbled it, and Marvin wasn't happy about that. Hold on to the football, Jeremy Hill. That's the only thing I have to complain about today. I'm not even complaining about Jermaine Gresham's fumble at the goal line. It helps he scored a touchdown on it. But if he hadn't scored a touchdown, I'm sure we'd be hearing about it. But again, Jeremy Hill, 27 carries, 152 yards on the day. That's the second time Jeremy Hill has topped the 150-yard mark as a Bengal. Kudos to him. Love what he offered today for the Bengals. If I missed your MVPs today, send them here in the chat room. My MVP, I'm going with Andy Dalton. Why not? He led this team, no turnovers. He only had the 1 sack. He played great, and he bounced back after what was probably the worst performance of his NFL career. So kudos to Andy Dalton. He's my MVP for today's game. 16-22, 220 yards, and the 3 touchdown passes. Probably should have been 4 had A.J. Green caught that ball. But Andy Dalton today, he's my MVP. He's my MVP of the game. As I mentioned, Bengals in first place, 6-3-1. Everybody else in the division is now 6-4. The Steelers will play on Monday night. They will take on the actually, maybe the Steelers are on a bye. Nope, I'm wrong. They play Monday night against the Titans. So you'd like to think they'll be 7-4, but that tie means the Bengals are just percentage points there in first place as well. Charlie in the chat room mentions Leon Hall's wearing out. The Bengals did sit him late in the game. He was complaining of a sore Achilles. That's not good. That's not good for Leon Hall. Fortunately, they've got a couple first-round picks to bring in his place. Darquez Denard got in. We know we got Drake Kirkpatrick. Maybe it's just a changing of the guard. Terrence Newman didn't play today. And I thought the secondary played pretty well. Dalton is his MVP according to Fatal Content. Dan Beck says Jeremy Hill. Anthony Wayne Varner says Jeremy Hill is his MVP. Mike Hudson, Jeremy Hill is my MVP. He's on my fantasy team, so he's being a little selfish. He says I didn't play Dalton today, so he's not on mine. Okay. So I've got a couple votes for Jeremy Hill, which you can't deny that. Jeremy Hill had a big day. 27 carries for 152 yards. Would have liked to see him get in the end zone. Thankfully, he was able to go down with 1 second left at the end of the first half. That was a big win. That was a big rush. Chris from Dayton brought that up on his call a little earlier. At that point, you're ready to walk into that locker room with a 10-3 lead, and at the end, you end up getting 3 more points. 3 points that you didn't think you were going to have today. And so the Bengals win in the locker room 13-3, which was a big momentum swing there at the end of the half. And the Bengals got the ball to start off the second half. They didn't do anything with that first drive, but defensively they were able to keep the Saints out of the end zone. Darren Couch probably the play of the day today in the chat room. He says, I sat Breeze today. Good call, Darren. He did have the one touchdown pass, but he didn't light it up from a fantasy perspective. So there you have it. Those are our MVPs. The chat room is leaning more towards Hill. I'm giving my MVP today for Andy Dalton, considering where he was just 10 days ago against the Cleveland Browns, looking pretty bad. Looking pretty bad today. We're going to wrap it up here. Live at CincyJungle.com. If you want to get in touch throughout the week, you can always email me insidethejungle@spnt.tv. Send me your tweets as well. I'm at Nick Suberling. Don't forget to join us live every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, right here at Cincy Jungle. I'll be joined by the fearsome foursome. Mickey Menser, Scott Bantel, and Anthony Casenza will be recapping today's game and looking ahead to a big game down in Houston against the Houston Texans. You won't want to miss that. So join us live, 8 o'clock Eastern at CincyJungle.com. If you can't catch us live, you can always download the show in podcast format. Check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Smart Radio. I happen to use an app on my phone, my iPhone, called Pocket Casts, where you can subscribe to our show. You won't miss a single episode of Inside the Jungle. Make sure you subscribe. And if you subscribe, you like what we do here on the show, leave us an iTunes review. We certainly appreciate the feedback. And if you like all the entertainment this show brings you each and every week, 2 shows a week, which soon might be more than 2 shows a week, log on and support our show over at our Patreon campaign, spnt.tv/Patreon or patreon.com/Nick Suberling. If you want to contribute to our show, anything you'd like to contribute, a quarter, 50 cents, $1, it will go a long way in helping us out here on our program. I certainly thank everybody, and thanks to everybody for contributing and supporting our show so far this season. Bengals win. They win on the road in New Orleans, a place nobody thought that they could do it, and they go in and they thump and beat down the New Orleans Saints today. 27-10 is your final. Bengals in first place, 6-3-1, as they head off to a big AFC showdown next week against the Houston Texans. You won't want to miss that. Check out all our awesome game recaps, all the news, all the latest injury news over at CincyJungle.com. Those guys do a fantastic job as well. Thanks to my associate producers, Andy Lanham, Larry Rolson, and Mike Vardy. Inside the Jungle's an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to SPNT.tv. And as I mentioned, check out our awesome Bengals coverage at CincyJungle.com. We'll see you Wednesday night. Hey, Bengals win 27-10. Good day, baby.